Hey guys, so last night I checked out the pilot episode of the new CBS summer show, Under the Dome. I think this is probably the summer show I was most excited about, and I will say that the pilot episode did not disappoint, and I'm very excited for what's to come. So this series is actually based on a book by Stephen King called Under the Dome, and I love Stephen King, right? One of the things that I think he does so well is he's super scary, right? I can't read Stephen King at night. I don't do that anymore. Like if I'm reading one of his books, I cannot read it at nighttime because it freaks me out. I think why his books are so scary is because he uses things that are like real, you know? Like he scares you with things that you think, oh my gosh, that could really happen. Like that could totally really happen and I'm gonna die and now I'm so scared. And I feel like the Under the Dome book did that. It showed you kind of the evil that was really kind of in mankind and the scary things that we do to each other. So the series is basically about this small town called Chester's Mill that gets trapped under a dome. Just one day, randomly, all of a sudden this dome kind of traps everyone who's in town inside of this small little town. And so you kind of get that the series is going to be about how these people deal with the fact that they're kind of all trapped together. But the other cool thing that I feel like they did in the pilot is they really kind of started to kind of, I don't know, like light the fire, you know? So it was like all of these different situations, like with different characters that were happening even before the dome dropped. And once the dome dropped, it was like all of those situations got intensified like times 500 because of the fact that now they're kind of all trapped in there together. So let's talk about a few of those kind of scenarios that stuck out for me. One was the whole Junior and Angie storyline. So we get that Junior and Angie are in some sort of relationship, and we see the two of them in the beginning of the episode, and Junior is kind of confessing his love to Angie, but at the same time we see Angie kind of reacting in a way that makes us realize that she's probably not into this as much as Junior is. And as the episode progresses, we start to see these little hints about Junior, that he's kind of aggressive, and he likes to play with knives. All red flags, ladies, all red flags. And by the end of the episode, Junior has kidnapped Angie and trapped her in this fallout cellar, basically, that his family has at their house, and he's locked her in there. And nobody knows where she's at. We also get that Angie's got a younger brother, Joe, and that their parents were out of town when the dome dropped, so they're in there together alone. And now Angie's missing, of course, and Junior's crazy, so who knows what he's gonna do with her. So, yeah, that should be rather intense. Once the dome drops and people realize that it's dropped and realize that they're trapped, we get that, you know, they can't really communicate with the outside world. So, like, the power's off, no phones are working. We see people kind of at the edge of the dome, like one of the police officers, like one of the deputies, her boyfriend was a firefighter and he was outside of the dome when the dome fell. And so we see the two of them kind of interact, one on either side of the dome, but they can't hear each other. So it was really kind of a little heartbreaking as well. So we get that they're basically cut off from the rest of the world. One of my favorite characters from the pilot, his name was Barbie, and I think it's just because there's so much intrigue around him. You're not really sure if he's a good guy or a bad guy or what's going on with him. At the beginning of the episode, we basically see him burying a body. And we're not sure if he killed this person or someone else killed them or what's going on. But he's, of course, then trying to leave town, but the dome drops and so he gets trapped. There are some hints, you know, like we see him do some kind of heroic things. You know, if this show was Lost, he totally reminds me of Jack, who was my favorite character on Lost, by the way. So, yeah, we see him kind of do some heroic things, like save people's lives and stop them from kind of running into the dome, and he saves this kid and these other things, and so it's kind of like we get he's a good guy, but at the same time we're not able to kind of like deal with the fact that we saw him burying a body. So I'm sure that's something that we'll see play out. We also see this kind of interaction between the sheriff, who we get's a good guy, like a solid type of guy, and this local councilman who's called Big Jim, Councilman Rennie, right? And we get that the councilman kind of wants to take over. Like he thinks he's in charge and he wants to do all these things and he wants to deputize people, and the sheriff's pretty much like, you're not going to do that. And so we get that the sheriff's a good guy and that, you know, the councilman is a little shady. The sheriff is really kind of like this town's Dumbledore to some degree, right? Go with me, people, go with me, right? Because in the Harry Potter books, right, Dumbledore was like I don't know, like you always felt safe knowing that Dumbledore was there because we knew that Dumbledore was the only other wizard that you know who had ever been afraid of, right? But then we get to the point in the books, if you haven't read the books, you should probably stop watching because spoiler alert. We get to the point though in the books where Dumbledore dies, right? And seriously, I remember how traumatized I was by that. Not just because I loved Dumbledore, but because all of a sudden it was like, holy crap, we're all gonna die because Dumbledore's dead now and there's no one else that you know who's afraid of. What are we gonna do? And so by the end of the episode, the sheriff actually dies. He has a pacemaker and basically his pacemaker explodes towards the end of the episode and he dies. And so we're kind of like, holy crap, who's gonna stop, you know, this big gym guy from taking over now? Because really the sheriff was I think the only thing standing in his way. So it's a little frightening to kind of see what's gonna happen. They definitely kind of upped the tension a lot. The other creepy thing that kept happening, it happened twice. There was two kids who all of a sudden kind of like fell down and started having these seizures. And while they were having the seizures, they kept saying the same thing like, pink stars are falling in line, or something like that. And it was like super creepy and super weird, but that is totally Stephen King. So that's kind of like another, you know, kind of added puzzle, obviously, as we're trying to figure out what the heck is that and why is that happening. One thing I absolutely love about the show is that, you know, I've read the book, obviously, so I know what the explanation is, but I'm so excited because I've heard that they've actually changed that for the TV show. Like, they've tweaked it and changed it, and it's different. So I'm super excited to find out kind of what their end story is. Yeah, you guys, I'm totally going to be into the series. Totally will be watching it every week. It was super, super good. If you missed it, check it out on the CBS website, or check your kind of local cable, like, on-demand services. You can watch them on there as well. 2 thumbs up, people. You should totally check this one out. Okay, guys, that's it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you again soon. Bye.